Welcome back. I'm about 15 minutes in. I'm over the natural meat at the moment with natural meat on the hook. I've had one tiny little bite on this line that come to nothing and my bait was gone. And over the flavoured halibut oil meat I haven't had so much of a bite yet. I'm very surprised it's so slow. It hasn't been cold at night. What I'll try in a minute is I'll try the heavier rig with a bigger bit of meat on, because it might be that as I'm feeding meat and fishing the same size bit of meat, they're not picking up on the hook bait. So as I say, I haven't had a bite on this line yet, which is quite surprising. The old leaves are falling down off the trees now, so autumn's well and truly here. I'm still fishing in only a sort of a t-shirt and a sweatshirt, so it's not cold today. It's certainly dull and overcast. As I say, some of those clouds are quite threatening in their colour, but the forecast was for no rain. Let's hope they're right. I've got my umbrella if it does rain, but I'm trying to dry my stuff out from the holiday. I've tried the little, just lift the float out. I'm fishing a float over depth. So if I lift the float right out, that just moves the bait, lifts the bait off the bottom a fraction. It sometimes works, sometimes it catches the eye of a roach or a bream. But at the moment it's very quiet, very surprised. A little bite then, that was only a tiny little bite, but a bite nonetheless. This is what the other one done, and it came to nothing, and I lifted out and the bait was gone, because obviously luncheon meat's quite a soft bait. But normally up here, the bream, they're right onto it, and the bites are usually very good, but this is just a little tiny knock on the float there. Probably a very small fish just having a peck at the meat. Still there. But again, it hasn't come to anything, so we just check we've still got the bait on. Yes, and move it back to the 2 o'clock line, which is where the natural meat is. Just put it in very slowly so that everything goes down and you don't get any tangles. The fishing, of course, will get harder as it gets colder. There's a few bubbles over this line. There isn't any activity at all over the flavoured meat line, but there's a few bubbles here. As I say, I still have another little tiny bite, but tiny being the operative word. As I say, when we come in a second, I'll put the heavier rig on with a bigger hook bait, see if that makes any difference. You'd sort of expect it to be the other way, really. You know, you only get little tiny bites, go smaller, but it doesn't always work. Sometimes you just need to catch the eye of the fish as they go by. I fed the same on both lines, about half of a 250ml pot, hemp meat. Haven't fed anything loose yet, haven't fed anything through the pot yet. Right, let's give the bigger rig a try, see if it makes any difference. As you can see, that's quite a small bit of bait on a small hook, so we'll go to a bigger hook, a bigger bit of bait, see what happens. Just wet the elastic. We've got a 6/8 in the one that we were using. This is 8/10, so it's a little bit stronger elastic and a bit bigger hook, so we should be alright if we manage to hook anything. Even a carp will probably be okay. That's the new size bit of bait. As you can see, substantially bigger, but you can hide the hook in it. I've hid the 16 hook, the 14 hook in that easily, or 16. I think it's a 14 fine wire. We'll go over the natural one first. Always a bit tricky this time of year. You have to, when you ship out, avoid the leaves that are on the surface so that you don't get rubbish on your hook when you send it down. Might have to put a couple of back shot on this in a minute, simply because the wind is pushing into us and it's bringing the float a metre off of the feed. I could shorten the lash, but I don't think that's a good idea, not with the conditions as they are. So what I'll do is I'll put a couple of number 8 back shot on it, and if I feel the need, if I feel it is coming into me too much, what I'll do is I'll put another section of pole on and just push past where my knee is, and then I know I'm back on the spot again. But yeah, there's definitely bubbles there. Got this set the same, a float depth off the bottom. Give it a little bit longer, and then we'll try on the flavoured meat side with this rig and see what happens. I'm very surprised I haven't had a skimmer yet. Very surprised, because you know, like I do, this place is absolutely chock-a-block with skimmers. Right, we'll try it over the flavoured stuff, see what happens. If nothing comes of this, what I'll start doing is I'll start feeding a little bit of hemp and meat through the pot every time I put it in, just to see if that wakes them up a little bit. But I'll only do it on the natural meat side, just in case it's possible, but very unlikely, that the Harper 250ml pot has overfed them. I can't see it, but you can never tell. It's certainly all quiet out there at the moment. Up at Kings Lakes in Devon, you never had to wait this long for a bite. Thank you as well for all your comments. I always try and answer them if I can. Anything you need to know or want to know, just drop me a comment. I'll see what I can do. I don't say I'm a font of all knowledge, but I've been doing it a day or two, so I've got a rough idea about most things. Right, we're going to have to try and change something then, because there's absolutely no bites at all out there at the moment on either rig, on bigger bait or smaller bait. So what I'll do is I'll start feeding a little bit more and come back to you when we get a bit of a response. See you in a bit.